Hi guys, we're back with another episode. Me and Wynnie today. So firstly, Wynnie, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm all good. Do you know what? It feels good to be back. Obviously, I've been absent for some time now. Just life getting in the way, etc. But I've got a really bad voice as well, so I apologise in advance to anyone listening or listening in the future. I'm probably going to sound a bit like Barry White, but I'll do my best. And I'm all good, mate. How are you? How are you keeping?
Yeah, great to have you back, Wynnie. Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Great to be here, kind of filling in for Luke. I'm used to doing it in my own show, but this feels a bit different. Big up to Johnny in the chat. He says hello, who's always here, so big up,
He
Johnny.
is. Yeah, big up to me.
He sure is. I appreciate what he does. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like and get involved in the comments because, yeah, your opinion does matter here and we will bring up your comments. Big up, Luke. So firstly, the usual sponsorship message from Security VPN, shout out to them. The link is in the description, securityvpn.com/Park Lane Podcast, and use Park Lane Pod at checkout at 25% off your first month. Now that's done, Wynnie. So firstly, I think it's important to start with kind of, going back a bit more, and that was sadly the Bournemouth game. Your thoughts kind of a week on that Bournemouth game and how big, missed opportunity it was, considering, if we win at the time, we would have gone joint third, Newcastle and Man United next. It would have meant a lot. So for you, how do you feel about it a week on?
Mate, I obviously I joined on the Twitter space that we did last week before, prior to the game, and I expected exactly what I said. I said at the time, it's going to be a difficult game, a difficult afternoon. They were going to be tough to break down. All the teams that are at the bottom fighting for their life, you never really see them play open, expansive football because they're going to get picked off and they need points. So they're happy to just sit there, take blows, hope that they don't concede too many goals, and then hit on the counter attack. Or just mainly, it sounds silly, but teams like that, they thrive on set pieces and corners and all these kind of things that are, traditionally we can't defend anyway. So any normal side would look at Tottenham and go, they're really bad defensively. Let's just hit them on set pieces and go from there. But it was exactly what I expected, mate. As you said, a massive missed opportunity because of all the adversity that's going on at Tottenham Hotspur. We are still in a decent position somehow. I don't know how, but we're in a decent position. And if, as you say, if we'd have won, we'd have gone joint third, and everything would have looked rosy with Newcastle obviously losing to Aston Villa. So it's a massive missed opportunity. But how many times do we say that week in, week out now?
I know we say it so much. So thank you for that, Wynnie. But do you think we deserved anything out of the game? Because although stats say we were the better team, for me, at the end of the day, I think Bournemouth just wanted it more and had more quality in the final third. So looking back on it, honestly, did you think we deserved anything out of it? Because to be honest with you, I don't think we did.
If I'm honest with you, there's not many games that I look. I appreciate it.
We'll get onto it. Don't worry. Yeah. I plan to do that.
Yeah, we might touch upon that, Johnny. I don't know yet. We'll see how we go. But yeah, so it's there's not too many games I can count on this season where I looked at and gone, actually, do you know what? We deserve to win that. And I don't know about yourself. I
agree.
In my head, I genuinely can't think of any.
No, I really can't think of, certainly not too many. So yeah, that's the Bournemouth game. Kind of moving on, and we go with like the manager talk at the moment because I don't know about you, Wynnie, but it's driving me crazy at the moment because every day it seems to be someone else who's going to be the next manager of Tottenham. We've had Arne Slot, we've had Pochettino, we've had Nagelsmann, we've had Company, we've had loads of different managers, all at once. So I want to know who you think will be the next Tottenham manager. Do you think Stellini will see the season now? Which I'm assuming you do. Yeah. And in the summer. So, firstly, who do you want? And secondly, it's probably going to be different. Who do you think it's going to be?
Do you know what? So this is really interesting, and I there's part of me that thrives on having no manager because I love the whole manager talk, and all the potential candidates that there could be. You envisage in your head all these different managers coming in and what their style of play would be, how they would look on the touchline, all these little things that, that people, whether they fit, whether they don't fit. So there's part of me that thrives on having even though we do have a manager in Stellini, he's not a manager.
Yeah.
So, this is interesting. So my opinion when Conte was first sacked, resigned, however you want to put it, was that Pochettino. I wanted Pochettino. But I must admit, I am changing, and I have changed over probably the last week. And I've looked into it a bit more. And and
Love it.
Slot, I think Slot's the man.
Okay.
I've had an epiphany in my head. He's the man.
Number
And
one for you, or just up there?
yeah, I think for me, he's the one that I want. He's the one that I want.
Okay, fair enough, guys. Let us know in the comments below. Who do you want Spurs manager? So, who do you think is going to be there, Wynnie? Because you never know with Tottenham and Daniel Levy.
Yeah. So I think that the top of Tottenham's list is Nagelsmann. And I think he always has been. And there's obviously an interesting twist in the tale that he's rejected, or he's pulled himself out of the race for Chelsea.
Yeah, that's
whatever
surprising.
reason that is. I don't know. Why do you think he's pulled out of that? Or do you think it's something to do with Chelsea or Nagelsmann?
I don't believe for 1 minute that it's to do with us over Chelsea, because people go about the league position, but you only get to one look at the money spent. And although Todd Bowley doesn't know a lot about football, I'm sure he's much more enjoyable to work with than Levy is. Perhaps it's just something like, I don't know, he doesn't, I don't know, perhaps the style of the players, perhaps doesn't like Todd Bowley. Perhaps he's got his eyes on another job. I don't believe it's Tottenham though. I can't see him coming to us. But for me, I agree with you on this lot. You know, recently I've really changed my mind. I think he's doing a fantastic job with a Feyenoord.
Yeah, have you seen any of their games?
I have watched a couple of their games in Europe, you know, like against Roma, and they give it everything. They're exciting to watch. It's everything we need in Tottenham right now. Yeah, it's everything we need.
They look unreal. They look like, and
they
this
do.
Going back, obviously, even though we wasn't tremendously successful, Martin Jol, I loved Martin Jol. And he reminds me, obviously, you know, Dutch. There's so many similarities. Bald head. There's so many things that takes me back to the Martin Jol days. And you know, all those days, although we wasn't, like I say, tremendously successful, I really enjoyed those days. So, thoughts on Poch to Chelsea? Oh, I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest, Luke. It's a bit of a sore subject.
It will hurt if it happens, but for me, I put all the blame on Levy if it happens for not approaching him quicker. People go, yeah, but Pochettino's gone to Chelsea. Yeah, but if he's not going to be approached, he's made it clear he wants to go back into the Premier League. I mean, I think there's been lots of subtle hints on social media that himself, Jesus Perez, the team, they want to get back together at Tottenham. But at the same time, you know, he wants that Premier League job. And if see, the reason for me, Wynnie, that it won't happen is because Levy won't accept that he's wasted the last 4 years and it was a mistake sacking him. Do you know what? I sat and thought about it last night, and I thought, why did I ever think that Conte was going to succeed at Tottenham? Because you think about it, you've got both Conte and Levy, who are both world class at what they do. Levy's hate to admit it, but he's a great businessman, and Conte is league manager. You know, yes, facts. Yeah, he's won trophies wherever, but Tottenham he's been. But at the end of the day, you think about it, it's all about their ego, and they can't accept mistakes. Conte, when he gets something wrong in a game, but the players can't adapt. I've done it everywhere I've gone. Oh yeah, but you know, there's always an excuse. It's never I got the tactics wrong. Perhaps I made the wrong change. You see managers in the Premier League, like Jurgen Klopp, sometimes annoys me, but come out and say, you know, perhaps I'm the problem. But Conte doesn't do that. Levy as well is someone who can't accept their mistakes. You know, Levy, Conte, it's never going to work if they can't have an honest conversation with each other and go, yeah, perhaps I'm the problem, or perhaps I got this wrong. But yeah, for me, Wynnie, Pochettino to Tottenham, to Chelsea would hurt a lot, but I put it on Levy. You know, do you agree?
I there's part of me though that, and I don't know why I think this, but there's a part of me that thinks that he wouldn't do that to us. Similar to Harry Kane, like I never thought Harry Kane, in my head, he'd ever go to Arsenal, he'll ever go to Chelsea. Any of these London rivals that he's hated all over these years for Spurs. So there's part of me that would think Pochettino wouldn't do the same. However, he's got to think of his own progression as a manager in his own career. And, you know, if Chelsea come knocking, you look at how, like you said, how much money they've spent. It's a good the problem is it's a good project as such. It's a good place to go if you want to, and if you feel like you can make a difference. However, the Chelsea model is you need someone who goes in who's such a big name, like an Ancelotti or someone like that, someone that can go in and will take, you know, the players by the balls and go, look, this is what you do here. and this is how we play. And if you don't like it, see you later. And I don't think that Pochettino is his ego is big enough to handle Chelsea. If I'm honest, if you look at Graham Potter, fantastic manager. There's no doubt about that from what he did at Brighton. But he's gone to Chelsea. He doesn't have the ego to match Chelsea, and look what they've done. They've just got rid of him just like that, because it is obviously a results game, and they weren't picking up results. But you can't expect someone to go in and make a difference straight away, and that's what I can see Pochettino doing. Chelsea are someone who they need instant success, and I don't know if Pochettino can go in there and provide instant success.
No, Wynnie, you make a very, very good point. But for me, people will call me crazy. But I look at Chelsea this season. I look at them when they play Real Madrid, and they match them up apart from putting the ball in the back of the net. And what worries me sitting here is, let's say Pochettino goes to Chelsea, and let's say, Todd Boehly, I think he's stupid in some of the things he does, and most of the things he does, but he chucks money at things. You look at there with Kane. Is Levy going to turn down? Let's say they wildly come in 100 million or even 150 million. I can't see Levy turning that down. Kane, I don't think he'd want to go to Chelsea, but if it means going with Pochettino, it worries me slightly. So does the thought of Kane going to Chelsea worry you slightly, or is it just something that,
of course,
it doesn't ever happen?
Kane leaving in general worries me, because similar to Luke on this podcast, Harry Kane is the linchpin of Tottenham. When he's not there, things go wrong. Obviously,
it's the only good thing at the moment happening to the club. Carrying us, we have to rely on him to get something out of the game. It's sad, but it's true.
There is part of me, and it's a big part of me, that thinks he just wouldn't go to Chelsea. I
don't think he will, but I think with Pochettino going and the money Todd Boehly has and chucks at things, I think there is a small possibility.
Did he like Pochettino? That's the thing. We're assuming he did. We don't know.
Exactly. We don't know.
There's players within the club that didn't want him to be there, hence why he was sacked. And a lot of those players.
He is out of job. We will get onto that.
A lot of those players will still be at the club. That's the difference. So there's going to be some people in there that didn't want Poch, and is Kane one of them? I don't know. I don't think Kane's the type of person that could hate anyone. To be honest, he seems to like all of the managers that go in there. But look, it'll be a sad day when Harry Kane leaves our club. I just don't think it's going to be to Chelsea, thankfully. And also, look, he wants to win a trophy, but who's saying that Chelsea are going to win a trophy anytime soon?
Good point.
It's the same with Man United. Obviously United are the leading candidate for Kane. Who's saying they're going to go and win a trophy anytime soon? I know, obviously, Ten Hag has gone in and made a difference already, and given another pre-season, he can transform his team into what he wants a bit more. But there's only one, maybe two teams, if you can count Arsenal this season, it's a bit different, but there's only one team that you can go to that's guaranteed a trophy every season, and that's Man City.
Yeah.
And he ain't going to go there now because, one, that ship sailed. Two, they've got Haaland and Alvarez, so they don't need any strikers for, however long Haaland wants to stay there. I can't see him staying there forever.
Man United worries me. I think he's going to stay in the Premier League. He wants to beat Shearer's record. And I was on a couple of Newcastle shows this week, which I'm grateful to be on and invited to. But I said that you may have Isak and Callum Wilson, who are two fantastic strikers, especially Isak. But I said, with the money, with your new owners, he said I said the thought of Kane going to Newcastle, thinking about it, that is a possibility with the money they've got. And let's say one of them gets injured, but Isak and Kane, there's a possibility he can go anywhere. I think he wants to stay in the Premier League. But you've got to remember, clubs all over Europe right now, there are quite a few who want strikers. Chelsea need a number 9. United need a number 9. Liverpool, will they want a replacement for Firmino? Maybe. Bayern Munich, PSG, Real Madrid with Benzema, how long has he got left? But Winnie, do you think there's a possibility he could sign a new contract this summer? Because I think it's not this summer, but next summer, so next year, that he leaves on a free, and that is the worst thing can happen. We're better selling him for money, obviously. So I don't know about you, but for me, this season is absolutely crucial. It's either sign or go. So is there a small possibility it could happen? Because it seems to change every day.
I think some of the reputable people out there are saying that he hasn't, completely disregarded the idea of signing a new contract. And I again, it seems to be the same every year. I think depends on who comes in as manager. If we was to appoint someone like Company, for example, I don't think Harry Kane would look at that and go, I fancy a bit of this. I feel like we can go somewhere with this. And I think then he'd look at that and go, look, okay, if an offer comes in, I'm going to shoot. But there is obviously a part because he hasn't come out and said no. The day that Harry Kane comes out and says that he wants to leave, like he did on that stupid interview with Gary Neville, and said, look, I would like to maybe leave Tottenham one day to try and chase trophies, etc., which is an absolute bullshit move by Gary Neville, by the way. He knew exactly what he was doing. He thought that he'd end up... No, he thought he'd end up going to Man U. That's why he's done all those interviews and stuff in the past. He thought Man United...
He does it for attention as well, Neville. He likes to stir up. He likes to cause problems. And then when he gets called out, he backs away into a corner. But that's Gary Neville for you, I suppose.
But yeah, so there is a part of me that thinks he could sign a new contract. Of course he could, because it's the famous debate going around. What's worth more, winning a trophy winning a League Cup or whatever it'll be with Man United?
What do you think? What's more valuable to you?
Yeah, of course. He's a Tottenham legend, regardless of whether he stays or goes. He is a Tottenham legend. He will be. He's our leading goal scorer. Nobody, I don't think, in my lifetime will ever come along and top that again. So we're talking about a Tottenham legend. So regardless, he will be that.
Even if he goes to Chelsea for you, Wynnie?
Yeah, he's got to be. He's got to be a Tottenham legend because of what he's done for us and what he's provided. Yes, in some big games, he's got his critics. In some big games, he has gone missing.
But nor has the whole team. The whole team hasn't turned up as well. People like to pick out Kane, but you look at every other game, Kane does turn up. Yes, he may not turn up in big games, but where's the others that step up? Where's Son that steps up? Because Kane, he has a lot of pressure on him, and I think it comes as well with being England captain. It's all over the papers. Fails to step up in big games, and in fact, I see Chelsea, Bayern Munich fans who don't want Kane because he doesn't turn up in big games. But my question always is to them is, where's everyone else in these big games? Exactly. There's been times this season where, as good as Haaland's been, he hasn't turned up or had like 3 touches. So everyone has bad days and sometimes doesn't turn up. If people talk about the Champions League final, for me, he shouldn't have played. He wasn't fit enough. No. I don't know why you drop more after scoring a hat-trick. That's completely, different discussion. But Wynnie, moving on to what was the big news this week. I mean, there is never quiet there at Tottenham, is there? But Paratici. So I think it was Thursday night. It was coming out, rumours, thing by Fabrizio Romano. When it comes out from him, I don't know how you view this, but then we know,
it's gospel.
He's true. It's happened. Yeah. Where he says his appeal was rejected.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all knew. Well, I certainly knew that it was going to be rejected. You're never gonna, like Paratici, with what he's done, I'm very unlikely it was ever going to be overturned. Released club statement Friday morning that he has resigned, which saved Levy sacking him, which would have costed money. So it's basically probably said to Paratici, out, otherwise you're sacking you, that won't look good. It got cost me money, so get out of it now. So my question for you, Wynnie, is your thoughts overall his time at Tottenham and the way Tottenham and Levy have approached it. There's 2 ways that I look at it personally. I look at it to be fair, Levy, the club, they've shown him a lot of respect in terms of waiting for that appeal because, lots of people would have gone as soon as that worldwide ban was extended, would have got rid of him when they released that club statement, but they waited for the outcome of the appeal. So they have shown, respect to Fabio in that regard. Or do you see it as it's strange and wrong that he was appointed in the first place? I want to know how you look at it in his general time.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bit crazy situation, really. Every day, again, something coming different. They didn't know about it. He was appointed. They thought he'd brush away. So, your thoughts on that?
Look, this strange things just seem to happen to Tottenham Hotspur. We never do anything, properly. There's always some adversity with anyone that we appoint, or there'll be something like we will probably appoint Slot as our next manager, and then someone will go digging through his tweets from 2008, and there'll be a post where he said something, I don't know, something homophobic or something. Do you know what I mean? There'll be something they'll dig out, and then they'll go, "Oh my God, Tottenham Hotspur have appointed someone." It always works that way. Look, do I think it was wrong to appoint him? No, because again, you don't know the outcome. Only really Paratici and the people higher up would know what was going to happen with the outcome or what would likely happen. But you take a chance, you take a risk, and you look at the people that we've signed under him. We transformed our signings in a way, and how we approach a signing. Because if you look at people before him, they were very average signings. And we've always signed average players. We never go out and, obviously we signed Van der Vaart that once, which was just random. But even people like Modric, no one really knew how good he was going to be. Christian Eriksen was another one. Obviously, he was, when we signed him for 15 million roughly, the season before he was quoted to go to Man United for 50 million. And then all of a sudden it was a 15. And that was because he just dropped off massively. So we never signed these good, players or players that turn out good. And I mean, you look at who we've signed under him in terms of like Romero. Wow. What, and I know he's got his critics as well, but what a defender. Like he's 1 in a million. He will, if he wants to, he can go to the very, very top.
He sure is.
He's thank you, Luke. I appreciate that, mate. But yeah, so people like Romero, no one knew how good Bentancur was going to be. Something like 15, 16 million we got him for. What a deal, what a bargain. Kulusevski, all these, even down to Richarlison. I know that obviously he's not been as good as we expected.
Yeah, he's still a big name and he's taking that kind of risk, if you like, that step up. And I think, Paratici, the recruitment definitely has been better. And because I think the recruitment was so bad that we don't, you think that we had to get someone in to improve that recruitment. But Wynnie, I want to know, you generally, should he have been appointed in the first place? Is it ignorant of the club to think it was just going to kind of blow away? Because, as soon as he had that ban over in Italy, Juventus are in big trouble. Yeah. I mean, how can you think? Well, for me, how can you think that they're just going to forget about it, or it's just going to blow away? It was only a matter of time. It just all of a sudden, one day we woke up and they've decided now that it's worldwide. So I want to know, is it ignorant of the club, or did they take a risk and it comes with consequences?
Yeah, I think obviously there is a slight bit of ignorance with it. Luke is not impressed with Romero.
We get onto that. Okay, I'll bring that up. Okay.
So just quickly what I was saying with Paratici, I think there is a slight bit of ignorance for the club because of the adversity that was going on with him at the time, and everyone knew about it as such. But look, I think they took a risk because maybe they knew how the recruitment would go with him, and maybe he would transform our team with the signings that he's made, even down to people like Sarr. Like Sarr has hardly got any minutes, but what a player he is.
Yeah,
we've seen it at the San Siro when we had to play him and young Ollie Skip. They held their own in that game. So even down to people like, we normally sign youngsters, and if you look at when we signed Jedson Fernandez on loan, like he was an up and coming youngster. He was pants. He was absolutely dog crap. So look, it's one of those that even the young players that we're now signing, or we have signed under Paratici and Sarr and people like that, they're players that can come in and make a difference. And you look at them and go, they could be a very good player one day. So look, I'll thank him for what he done and the players that he brought in. But at the same time, when all of that news came out, as I said on the 60-second roundup, his position was untenable. There was no way that he could stay. I must admit, when obviously the Juventus news came out and he's we'll go back to that.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
But yeah, so when the first Juventus news came out, I was very surprised that Tottenham didn't get rid of him there and then. Clinton and G, perfect example. Clinton and G, another useless youngster that we signed. But yeah, so look, I'm very surprised that when the Juventus news came out that we kept him in the club, and they released that statement almost backing him up, saying we're not going to make a decision yet. We'll wait for the appeal to come out and then we'll make a decision. I thought that was a bad move from Tottenham. But what do you make of it all? Because
I've kind of tried to, because lots of things with me, Luke, if you're in the chat, you know, I flip and flop about. But with Paratici, I've tried to stay in my position. Whereas I don't think he should have been appointed with what was going on. But at the same time, I appreciate what he's done for the club. I think recruitment's been great. I think when that club statement was released after, you know, the worldwide ban had been, you know, been put in place, you know, I think that club statement, then he should have gone, you know, just, you know, go because of the club's reputation. I think you can't take that risk with a club like us to have someone who's been done dodgy things, you know, at the club. And I think it is the right decision that, you know, he had to go. But I appreciate, you know, what he's done. I'm thankful, but you know, he had to go. You can't remain with what's going on. But what I find interesting, Wynnie, I want to know your thoughts on, is that Juventus have had their 15-point deduction taken away, and they're up to third in Serie A because there was 4 appeals put in. One of them was for Paratici, and one of them got rescinded, so taken away, and that resulted in Juventus 15-point deduction. So, what do you make of that? Because is that confusing for you? You know,
it's very confusing, mate. I mean, we don't know.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we don't know behind closed doors what goes on and what the appeals were, and you know what the one that got rescinded, what it was for. There's loads of different accounts that we can take for it, but. Yeah, I think it's very weird. And if I'm honest, I don't really know too much about it in the sense of what's actually going on and what's happened. And all I know is I just don't want it anywhere near our club. So, like I say, he had to go, completely untenable his position. But look, we've got to find a new director of football. We've got to find a new manager. We've potentially got to find a new striker. There's just a lot of change going on at Tottenham Hotspur, and I don't hate it because at some time you need to make these sacrifices, you need to make these changes to grow as a club. But it's just a weird time, isn't it? And if I'm honest, I don't even really know. I'd like to think my knowledge of football is okay, but in terms of director of football, I don't even know who we can get. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know who could be next. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, and Has says people shouldn't be surprised that Levy appointed Paratici. He ignored the red flags because he wanted to appoint that sporting director and shut out fans while getting a scapegoat to deflect his own failures. I completely agree, and I think it's all on Levy. Like we're talking about earlier with Pochettino, again, that's Levy. I mean, every route with the problems we've got right now. People, I don't know how you can be Levy in, but I'm going to call them Levy in. Find a way to try and put it on someone else other than him. Every route you try and take it, for me, it ends up with Levy. It goes back to Levy, the owners, and the board. So on that note, I want to Luke says has. I want to talk about the protest and what changed for Tottenham, because we haven't really discussed it, if I'm honest with you, and it's something that I want to discuss. Luke will know. So this week, change for Tottenham. Put a letter forward to Tottenham, basically putting points towards. I want to know your thoughts, Wynnie, on what change for Tottenham are doing, because I'm certainly behind what they're doing. With my page, Scarfy Spurs, and my own page, I've joined them and supporting them what they do publicly, and in contact with them, how I can kind of promote what they do. So I want to know your thoughts generally on what change for Tottenham are doing, and this letter towards the board, Tottenham, and do you think they read it? Will they take it seriously? Kind of get back to say, I want to know your thoughts on what they're doing.
I mean, obviously, as a podcast, I think we've come out publicly and supported them as well. So there's obviously, it's what we need. It's a difficult one because who am I to sit here and go, we need to change, we need to make this change, we need to do this. Do you know what I mean? I'm just a 31-year-old bloke who likes Tottenham Hotspur. What right have I got to come out and say we should do this, we should do that? But as football fans and as people, as humans, we can look at it and go, there's something just not right about our club at the minute. We've all supported them for most of our life.
Can't ignore it, Luke. You can't ignore it.
See, this is what happens when you let him take charge, Luke. This is what happens.
Not offensive, Luke. I'll bring it up.
Look, like I say, I think it is right. We do need some sort of change. We need someone or something to speak out and try and make a difference. So, I'm fully supportive of what they're doing. Do I think that the club will listen to them? I don't really know. I think it's only really the supporters' trust that the club actually do listen to. So they would probably need to go through them to make any kind of difference, or to make any notice with the club. But if you gain enough traction, at some point, the club are going to have to listen, because if you go through social media, there's someone within the club that will look on social media every day, every week, and look at what's trending, look at what's going on, manager talk, and if that change for Tottenham starts gaining enough traction, they're going to have to start listening, because the last thing they want is the fans to turn against them, and we've seen it with some fans. I know some fans that have completely got rid of their season ticket and are not going back again. Now that for me is a bit extreme, because I still want to go and watch my side regardless of where they are, who they are, because I am Tottenham Hotspur fan, and that Tottenham Hotspur are within me, so I will always have that urge to go and watch them. But yeah, I get it, and they just need to find the right avenue to gain some traction. But yeah, I'm fully supportive of it, and us as a podcast, and obviously Scarfy with you, it's the same. So let's just see how much traction they can gain. And I mean, I say to you now, what do you think about it? I know exactly what you think about it, but tell me your thoughts and what you think and how they.
I will. I'm fully behind it, and as soon as they put the idea that they wanted to put a letter towards the club, I was straight in the DMs suggesting my ideas and what people said to me about the problems with the club. And they kind of, said, appreciate the support, publicly. So I have got behind them on my own page. And as I said, Scarfy Spurs Talk, because I like what they're doing. And I don't know if you know, but I put out a tweet, I think it was Thursday or Friday, saying on top of supporting change for Spurs and what the likes of Luke won't like this, but what Brian Daigle and Billy are doing with the protests, I want to also create my own movement, basically to unite fans. And people go, oh, but what's the difference in change for Spurs? Well, the difference is that I'm going to let people decide what they want it to be. I'm very, very open. I've got ideas, but at the moment, it's just, for me, my priorities, I want to create a movement, unite fans, because there's nothing worse than having a divided fan base, almost like when Mourinho left with so many. It's okay to have different opinions, but it should never get to the point where you've got fans arguing or fighting physically with each other. So I want to unite fans, interchange. I will continue supporting change for Tottenham, change for Spurs, so I think are doing a fantastic job. Brian, Daigle and Billy, I will see them Thursday when I go into the Man United game, speak to them and get their ideas. I've already planned that. I think they're doing a fantastic job voicing their opinions for the club, but also I think another movement on top of that to put more action. But it can be, my priority is it's peaceful. Like Luke makes a perfect comment, which I'm going to pin up, about the protest, got to be inclusive for all. And you know how much, inclusivity means to me. So I want a peaceful protest, but I just put that idea out, and the response has been great. I've got about 30 people already who would be willing to be involved in this, and this is great. And another comment I'm going to pin up for Luke about Protest FC. Monday, 8 p.m. as usual, I've got my own show, but this one is a big one because I've got both Brian Daigle and Billy on, who both voice for the fans and organise protests. That's probably going to be the biggest show, well, nearly the biggest, apart from having crackers on. So I'm looking forward to that. We're also, first time I'm going to have an opposition fan on in Tony as a Newcastle fan to get his thoughts as well. So, it's going to be interesting having them both on. It would be very protest-based.
So let me just jump in, H. Sorry.
Go for it.
Obviously, you're very passionate about this movement. Creating your own movement, etc. What for you? What is the outcome? What is your main outcome? Obviously, I know you say you want it to be a peaceful, inclusive protest, etc. But what changes do you want for Tottenham Hotspur?
It's a great question, and I'm not asking. I'm not going to be unrealistic and say these owners or Levy needs to sell, because that's never going to happen. I just want a response to them in terms of where we're going as a club, the direction. I want to make them so they know, as fans, that we want to know about our club. And I hope that, for example, they respond to that. Like, for example, that's why I support what Change for the Spurs are doing, putting that letter out, because, making it clear what us fans stand for. Obviously the movement I'm creating will be obviously against the owners and against Levy, but it won't be physical, it won't be violent. I would love to hear from what, for example, the board or himself or his representative has to say. So objective is really, as much as I'd love to get change, it's really my main goal is to unite fans and
Yeah.
kind of like have this own almost like voice where, you know, the club, they can hear what we think and how we feel, and they can bear that in mind before they start making actions, and just put a bit of pressure on them, really. So Levy, you know, step up a little bit, if you like, because at the moment, you know, he's doing okay. There's not too much pressure, but I want to see, my idea at the moment is, I question, why is there no Levy and Inikau flags or anything inside the stadium?
Yeah.
Why has nobody brought them in? So my idea could be even potentially creating flags, or you're bringing them into the stadium. So I'm open to loads of ideas, but yeah, Wynnie, the main objective is to unite fans and kind of be like this huge voice who kind of, I've made it clear. People say peaceful doesn't get a lot done, but I don't want physical protests that cause problems. It's got to be peaceful. People can still go to the game. They don't have to join in. You know, there's no pressure there. It's just our way, and it could happen loads of different ways. It could be a protest outside the ground. It could be something to do with home. It could be something to do inside the stadium. It could be something outside Levy's office. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be different from what we've got, because there's nothing worse than having the same thing. So, like, I haven't seen any flags or banners inside the stadium. I haven't seen anyone protest outside Levy's door. Might be we sit in front of his door, or if it gets to it, we throw things at his office. But there's nothing outside his office. So it's just different ways of exploring what we can do.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting what you're saying, and it does make sense. I think as fans, we just want to see, first of all, we would like some acknowledgement from the board or from the club just about what's going on at the minute, you know, because they'll be aware of the divided fan base and stuff. And like you say, acknowledgement. And I think we just want to see some direction. We want to see, and we want to know where we're heading as a football club. What are our intentions? And it's all well and good. Like the recent interview with Levy, I don't know what it was for or where it was, but there was obviously, he said, you know, am I happy that we haven't won a trophy in so many years? No, of course not. But he said it's not that easy, and I feel sorry for him in a way, because it isn't easy, is it? It isn't easy. No. How do you win a trophy? And people will go, oh, well, you just pump loads of money. Look at Chelsea. That's what they've done. Yeah. That model isn't sustainable. It's not successful. What do we do? So I do feel sorry for him in a way, and maybe obviously we've now appointed that new guy who will be on top of our new director of football, and our new director of football will report to him.
There might not be a new director of football; it might just be down to Scott Munn.
Well, I think they will. I think their intentions will be to hire a director of football. But this now appears that Levy is stepping away from the football side, and that's all we wanted really as a fan base. We've said before, I'm not necessarily Levy in, Levy out. I am on the fence. In the sense that,
fair enough. Okay,
but
you recognise change is needed though in some way, shape, or form.
Change is needed.
A plan, and
However, as we've said, and as you've said, and as everyone has, not everyone, but most people have said, Levy is a fantastic businessman. And as a business, we are completely sustainable. We will be around for a very, very long time. Everything that Levy has created and has done for us will keep us going for a very long time. However, does he know anything about football? Does he? No, he knows nothing about football, and that's where the problem lies. So hopefully, with the new guy coming in, it looks as though Levy might be taking a step back from the footballing side. And if we have someone that takes over the footballing side and Levy takes over the business side, this makes me buy it. Yeah. This is the thing that the fan base is always going to be divided on it. Look, I'm not saying I want Levy to, and Levy's amazing. Levy's the best person in the world. Levy's the person to transform us. Look, like I said, if Levy can take part of the business side and keep us a sustainable business, and someone,
I don't think he can help himself, Wynnie, from having that last say. And but what annoys me is I still watch it back, and it still bugs me to this very day. Right, this is someone who doesn't understand football, right? I don't know if you remember the documentary. I keep saying this, but I think it's important to bring it up. But with Harry Winks, right? Think of all the qualities you can bring up about a player, right? There's loads of different things that they will have to their game. Like Harry Winks, I could tell you, he's a good passer of the ball, takes on players, he's good at passing sideways. More creative than Levy could have thought of, which was, oh, he runs around a lot.
Yeah.
Every player runs around a lot.
Course,
We run around a lot when we go for a run in the morning. He runs around a lot. And Mourinho has a look at him and he's thinking, right, this is someone who doesn't know football. People say Todd Bowley doesn't know football, but nor does Daniel Levy. But I've got a question for you, Wynnie. And to be fair, I'm going to answer this honestly after you. But for you, would you rather have owners like Chelsea, like they had with Abramovich in terms of they're at risk from financial fair play, or with owners like Todd Bowley? I put them under a similar category. Todd Bowley, where you're splashing the cash again at risk from financial fair play. There's no plan, there's no direction, there's no identity. Or would you rather have these owners who, to be fair, when it comes to a business side of things, are very, very stable, and in terms of like a multi-sports brand, and in terms of business and the incredible deal with F1 and all these different deals when it comes to the business side of things, sponsorships, etc. I definitely would much rather have these owners, to be fair to you, than be run. People go, let's bring the Saudi or the Qatari money in. I love the idea, but you've got to, although I'm for having Qatari owners, you've got to bear in mind the consequences as well that comes with it, with what comes behind it, and the and obviously, with the risk of financial fair play. So the priority is, as a football club, you are run stably. And to be fair, these owners do it. So I want to know your thoughts on that. I've been critical of the owners, but they run the club stably.
And this is easy to say. I would like a mixture of the two. Obviously, and is that achievable? Is that possible? I don't know if it really is. But it's one of those where I am happy with what they do, like the business side, like you say, and all. We are a multi-sport global brand now, which I like. I do like that, because to be sustainable, you need to have your finger in many pies, and you need to do all these, like the F1 avenue, the NFL avenue. It's great. Like I went to in last October. I went to the NFL game, the Saints versus the Vikings, and do you know what?
Okay,
It was my first NFL game, and I never really followed it before. But as an event, it was unbelievable. Like there was thousands upon thousands of loads of different supporting NFL teams that were in there. It was just a really, really good experience. So little things like that, I get on board with. But do I want someone to come in and just go, here's 400 million, just go and buy whoever you want? I don't really like that. And like you say, it comes with the implications of financial fair play, like you say. But what I will say is that 150 million war chest that they supposedly were going to give Tottenham Hotspur, where did that go? Like as a club, we were very critical. We were very critical of the owners and the board and Levy. And then when that came out,
if you think about it, sorry, Willie, to interrupt, but if you think about it, last summer, it pretty much, including add-ons, could have been pretty much spent. It was, I think it was something like 130 something. So, and if you include, like, I don't know if it includes the wage with the new signings, I don't know if it includes the women's team, but if you put it all together, it's pretty much nearly 150 million, which is a lot wasted. But at the same time, I've sat here and gone before, where's the ambition? Why don't we take risks? And in Levy's defence, like even signing the likes of Lo Celso and Ndombele, now the likes of Richarlison, Jed Spence, even that he's perhaps taking a risk. So I feel sorry for him in that regard. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, it's difficult, because at the time, and this is the problem. At the time, we were like, right, we need a Dembele replacement. Who's out there that we can do? And they've looked and gone, Tanguy Ndombele. He looks very similar. He looks like a good player. Let's get him. And that's what the fans were crying out for, Ndombele, and they delivered. We got Ndombele.
Wynnie, before we move on to tomorrow's game, would you take Ndombele or Lo Celso back in the summer? Do you want to see them in the Spurs shirt? After what Ndombele's done, after that Morecambe game, do you want to see him back on the Spurs pitch?
I don't, because I think he's any bridges he's had, he's burnt them. I don't think his position in Tottenham Hotspur is achievable anymore. However, Lo Celso, I don't think he's ended on a bad term. I think he was just very unlucky with injuries. I think when he played, there was never a time where I've looked at Lo Celso and gone, "You're not trying. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" Like, he always looked like he was trying to do stuff. He just wasn't. He just wasn't. He just wasn't the creative player that we needed. So Lo Celso, I would be happy to come back if he want. If again, if the club wanted to. We're missing that creative spark. I feel like he could be that link player under the right person and in the right system. And Ndombele, it's so frustrating. He's such a he in terms of ability, I don't think there's anyone out there that can match him.
It's the attitude and work effort, isn't it?
It's the attitude and the work ethic that comes with it. If he was to, and it's the same, it's the same with Pogba. When you look at him, talent is unrivaled, but his work ethic and everything behind it doesn't match his ability. So, look, it's a shame. And Ndombele, I still love him in terms of, because I can see there's a player in there. But he ain't coming back. Lo Celso, I would be okay with if the manager wanted them and if he wanted to come back. But look, like we said, it's a time for change. We need new players. We're looking now at James Maddison. Perfect fit for Tottenham Hotspur. When he was at Norwich, we were linked with him and we didn't go for him when we should have. And we should have got him for, I don't know how much he went for in the end. I think it was something like 20 million. It's going to cost
he will leave if Leicester go down, which seems very, very likely at the moment. I mean, there was a time last night. I mean, don't get me started, but they were sitting bottom of the league. But listen, Maddison deserves to be in the Premier League. You've only really got the likes of Chelsea and Newcastle and Tottenham who could potentially go for him. But Wynnie, I want a question for you. With we discussed with like Selson and Ndombele, or perhaps bringing players in like Maddison or signing new contracts again. Don't get me started with the likes of Dyer. Do you wait for that new manager to come in? Because I think we've made mistakes before. Whereas Levy's made that decision before the manager comes in. Or do you look at it where some fans say, yeah, but we signed all these players for Conte. Now Conte's gone. Like, you've got Porro or you've got Perisic who don't fit into a back four. So do you wait till a manager comes in, or do you make that decision? And also, I had Scott Munn's on garden leave till the 1st of July. So they're assuming there'll be no manager before then. And if there is a manager before then, I'm assuming it'll be Levy's choice as well.
Yeah, I don't think anything will be, any kind of big decisions will be made with our current state. I think in terms of players, I think it is important to see who we get in before any decisions are made. Obviously, the Dyer contract situation, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. But in terms of, like you say, Porro and Udogie, or however you pronounce it, with him coming in, we've got two very, very good wing backs. Will they work as a left back and a right back? That remains to be seen. I don't know, because these are players who are probably suspect defensively, but going forward are very, very good. And it was very similar to when we had Danny Rose and Kyle Walker. I know we played a back four, but as I've said before, we used to have Dyer dropping in to create a back three, allowing Rose and Walker to be much more advanced. So, and they were suspect defensively. So it depends who comes in, what system you play. And I think we need to wait for that to happen before we make any decisions with regards to the team. Apart from like the James Maddison deal, if we can get that done early, let's get it done, because yes, obviously he needs to be he needs to suit a specific system, but I think a player like James Maddison, you can find a place for. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's I think that decision we should do sooner rather than later. Anything else, I don't really know what. I think you need to wait until we have any kind of leader in there to make those decisions.
Absolutely. Before we move on to tomorrow's game, because time has gone very quickly all of a sudden, I want to know your thoughts on what's the most effective way to protest at the moment. Is it like joining in with Brian Daigle and Billy's protest before the game? Do you support the idea of a walkout protest, 22 minutes, for the owners, 22 years? Do you support the idea, for example, against Crystal Palace, where the big, I think it's 7 or 8 different pages on Facebook have come together saying, look, we're not going to the Palace game and we're not going to sell our tickets either. Levy, we're giving you money, but we're not going to turn up. For me, I support the idea of not turning up against Palace. I originally didn't, because I thought and I got called out for it. But I originally thought that people, there's no difference because someone will just buy your ticket. But if nobody can buy that ticket, then I fully support it. But I don't support whatsoever the idea of walking out at 22 minutes because one, you're giving Levy your money, and two, is he going to understand what you're doing? Because at the moment, people are walking out anyway because they're fed up of what they're watching. So do you really think Levy's going to get it? If no chance or no flags are going to come with it, he's going to look at it and go, oh, they're just going for a drink, or they're going to the toilet, they're going to get food, or perhaps they're going home, really, really early. He's not going to realise what it's about unless there's a banner there or something. He's not going to sit there and think 22 minutes. He probably doesn't know how long he's been. The owners have been here for. He doesn't know how many players have got out in loan in January, so I doubt he's going to know that. So for you, what do you support? Because
Look,
I don't know that protest.
I don't know what the best way is for a protest because I've never really been that passionate about it. I will if I think a movement is good, I will join along with it. But yeah, that's a very good point. What Luke's just said there. That's the difference.
It is, but will it affect Levy? People say it just affects the team. People say it affects Levy. If he turns around and sees there's like 10,000 empty seats, for example. But the point is, you're giving Levy the money, and that's why I don't support the idea of the 22-minute walkout.
Look, I don't. The problem is the whole problem is. Look, I went to the Brighton game, and it was someone who didn't want to go, so I had their ticket. And that's the problem. You will all. I know what you're saying. You just won't sell your ticket. But there's that. What does that stadium hold? Like 62, 63,000. There will always be someone who will want that ticket. And I get, even if it's like 5 or 10,000 people, that I just don't think there's enough people that will commit to it. That's the problem. Yeah, let's say 10,000 people commit to walking out at 22 minutes. Yeah, let's just say it's 10,000. I don't think it'd ever be that much, but let's say it is.
No, I don't
When
think
when it gets to it, there'll be 20 minutes in, and all those 10,000 are sitting there going, "I've made this trip now. I've done this. I might as well just stay here." And that's what will happen. Is I think it would be, let's say 10,000 people commit. I think you'd probably only get 1,000, if that, that would walk out. So I just don't think that's the right way. But me personally, I don't know what the right way is. If you look in the past historically, the Man United one where they were all outside the stadium, there was thousands upon thousands of people outside the stadium. I've seen a few protests go on, and there hasn't been outside the training ground, and there hasn't been that many people there. And also outside the stadium, and there hasn't been that many people there. If you want to make a difference and you want to make a movement successful, you need to have the followers, and you need to you need to gain traction. And at the minute, I don't think there's enough people behind it for that to happen. But like
I think the awareness is not a lot of people aware about it either. But I think, to be fair, with what Man United are doing, I think they bring flags and banners into the stadium. We don't do that. If anybody's listening, anybody makes flags, sells flags, knows someone who sells flags or makes flags, let me know, because I will buy one, because I'm going Thursday against the Man United game. I'm not going to the Palace game, so I'm going to join in with that. I want to see how it goes. But Thursday I've already organised. I'm meeting both Billy and Brian Daigle at the game, because I want to discuss it, because they've said they already support the idea of me starting my own movement. And getting the support for them would be fantastic. I obviously support what they're doing. I support what Change for Spurs are doing. But yeah, bring flags and banners into the stadium. Then Levy will see it. That will affect him more than you walking out. He thinks you're just going for a drink. So he really won't notice if 2,000 fans aren't there. I don't think he's that observant. I think he's more worried about his own job and what's going on at the pitch, not what's going on in the stands. But moving on, because as I said, time has gone very quickly to the game Sunday. How do you feel, Wynnie? Game Sunday at the moment, how do you feel? Do we stand a chance? Do you take a point? Do we have to win if you want to get top four? There's loads of questions I could throw at you, but just your thoughts. I'm going to go with the game tomorrow.
If you want my honest thoughts, I really don't care.
Really?
How sad is that? I really don't care. Like my motivation for this season has diminished. It's gone. I don't have any feelings towards the rest of this season, only because I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do. I don't know what Tottenham's going to turn up. I don't know anything. I feel like this is the first time I feel like I wouldn't say I feel disconnected with the side and with the team, because
Is this the most you've ever felt like that, though? The closest to that?
yeah,
Ever?
of course it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, this is definitely the most I've ever felt like that.
Okay.
But look, obviously, I still want us to win. That will never ever change. There'll never be a time where I will go, "Oh, I want us to lose." Do you know what I mean? Because I never ever want us to lose. And I know, in the past, people have gone when they want managers out. Oh, I would actually really like us to lose this game because it will make a statement, and hopefully they'll get rid of the manager, etc., etc. I never want us to lose ever. So I want us to win. Do I think we will? Again, I don't know. Newcastle are a weird side. They are up there, obviously, and rightfully so, because they went 18 games unbeaten or whatever it was. So, but they don't look very good at the moment. And we've
Would you
seen
take
that
a point, Winnie? Would you take a point right now? Put
Yes.
you on the spot. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, of course. Away from home against a top 6 current side, you've got to take a point if it's offered to you. It's again, do I think we will? I don't know. I predicted so far. I don't, score wise, I don't know, but I predicted when I was at the Brighton game. I said to my dad. My dad said we would lose. I said no. I think we will win this game.
Hold your score prediction. Hold your score prediction for 2 minutes. I will come to you on
So
that.
there was controversy behind the Brighton game. I said we would win, and we did. The Bournemouth game, I came out and said we would lose, and we
Yeah,
have.
no, you did. No, I was the one who was positive. And to be fair,
This
you
one,
turned around and said, "I can't see us winning this game." I just
no.
looked at the fact that I looked at it, Bournemouth at home, and you think, that should be easy, but you never know with Tottenham. So no, you were absolutely spot on. To be fair to you,
So
then.
tomorrow, obviously, I'll hold my score prediction. However, I've got a horrible feeling that we won't win. Let's put it that way.
Luke, how can you be so optimistic, man? Wow, I love it and admire it. And I mean, come on, you just wait to hear my score prediction. I'm afraid it's not positive for this week, but 2-0 Spurs, says Luke. Winnie, my thoughts on the game quickly before I ask your score prediction.
Yeah.
Of course, I take a point, but if we win, perhaps we have an outside chance of finishing in top 4. Confidence going into the Man United game. But if we get absolutely smashed, which I think we will actually, I have a feeling we will, then that Man United game which I'm going to, the atmosphere is going to be quite toxic if you think about it, because that pretty much confirms top 4 is over. Luke, I'm going to pin up a comment from Luke, but I have a mate who's a Newcastle fan. I'll be watching it with them. Oh, Luke, it won't be good if we get smashed. Winnie, for the tweet, which I'm going to put out, score predictions that we always do.
Yeah.
I blame Luke because I think he forgot last week. But Winnie, what's your score prediction for tomorrow?
I think we are. I think we're going to lose 2-1. Is my initial feeling.
Okay.
This is a huge, even though it isn't. This is a huge period for Tottenham Hotspur, because the teams we are playing are the teams that we are fighting for these top 4 positions with. United, Newcastle, and we've got Liverpool coming up as well.
If we win them both somehow, I mean, all of a sudden, does your view change?
This is the thing. So if we somehow manage to beat Newcastle and then Man U,
wow,
we're in such a very, very good position, with only realistically Liverpool at Anfield as a difficult game to play. The rest, I think, are all winnable games.
Villa away, but they could be.
They're on a bit of form, but traditionally I always fancy us to go to Villa Park and win.
Did you go 2-1 Newcastle, did you say?
Yes, I did, yeah, unfortunately so.
Okay. Mine's even worse. And I hate to say it, but I sat here and thought, Newcastle have smashed us in recent years, and I think they're going to do the same. I'm afraid to say I'm going 4-1 Newcastle. I think they're absolutely turn us over. I think it's just where we are as a club at the moment. Newcastle, they've just lost 3-0 to Aston Villa last weekend. They want to come back, respond in front of their own fans. That's the difference between our players and their players. They react with the fans and give it absolutely everything. With our players, will give absolutely nothing. So I'm going 4-1 Newcastle. So get your score predictions in the comments below before we finish. But I think that's it for today's show, Winnie. Blimey, it's gone quick. But I think we've both done a good job. And Winnie, it's an absolute pleasure to have you back on the podcast. Every week I've been going, is he back? I can't wait for Winnie to be back. Yeah. I mean, I speak to you a lot, don't know anyway, WhatsApp, Twitter, but no, it's great to speak to you, have you back on the podcast. So for people who don't know, where can people find you?
Yeah, so Wynnie 1991, obviously just here. I haven't been very active on Twitter at the minute, but I've been absent from the pod as well. So I'm hoping to get a bit more on there and maybe interact with a bit more, and maybe a few more Spurs fans interact with those and any movements that are going on. So yeah, it's good to be back on the pod. But if you ever want to reach out to me, feel free.
Okay, thank you. And you can find me, my Twitter handle is there, creating content, also advocate for autism, as you know, Wynnie.
Yeah.
And also my own show, Monday at 8 p.m. As I said, I'm going big. I've got both. People say, oh, it'll be good to get someone on for the protest. I've got them both on at once. I haven't seen that before, but here goes nothing. Brian Daigle and Billy on Mondays. That'll be the reaction show to Newcastle, whatever the score will be. I don't know how it's going to go. I've got a Newcastle fan on in Tony as well, so I'm going to trial that as well. But most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Big up Johnny, who's been in the chat all day. Once again, big up Johnny. No matter what team you support, you're welcome here at Park Lane Podcast. Your opinion is valued. But yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like, and don't forget to tune in every Saturday at 11 a.m. I'm sure Luke and Dave, they may be back next weekend. They'll certainly be back very, very soon. But we go big here at Park Lane Podcast, everything we do. So we're very close to 700 subs. So all the subscribers are appreciated because, yeah, your opinion's welcome. Get involved in the chat. It really is the People Podcast, and we're here no matter what the result.
Exactly.
So, Wynnie, it's been a pleasure. Take care. But as we always say, it definitely has. As we always say on this channel, come on, you Spurs. Let's hope we win. You never know with Spurs.